Hello and welcome to Redeeming Thunder. My name is Erica and I'm here to give you a fabulous prophetic word. I also post these words of the Ordained Spouse series on Daughters of Fire. Now, this prophetic word comes in two parts. One that was delivered on 5/29/2024. This is chapter 71, part 3. And the Most High wants me to put this specifically on chapter 71, part 3. Now, this was given to me through a dream. And so the dream begins with details of birthing twins and a baby. This is a common theme occurring in your life. And I'm going to break down with biblical interpretation of the dream. Something miraculous is also occurring regardless of the dream. Something miraculous is occurring and you are birthing something artistic in your life. It's going to grow very rapidly, more rapidly than any other assignment that you've had in the past. And that is why you need to like and subscribe, ring the notification bell, send to those who need to hear this, and be in divine alignment by staying tuned with these videos. Now, here is the dream. I saw this woman was standing in a new home. It was a huge home, almost looked like a mansion. Very large, vast land in the back. Many rooms. There was a theater room with a huge screen TV. There were fields. There was a skate rink outside. It looked glamorous all around, okay? So you could have experienced this where you recently moved somewhere very wonderful and glamorous, okay? With a lot of amenities. In the dream, I saw this woman looking over towards her kitchen, and she was just watching her family members. They were blasting the music and having a family gathering and partying, okay? There was probably some drinking involved and just partying really late, for hours and hours, right? And she was in the living room and she was just looking from afar. And on that note, I know that this is appointed time for me to deliver this prophetic word, even though it is now June 2026. Is due to today, June 25, 2026, I had a dream regarding a specific detail. And the dream entailed I'm in a home, 2-story home, and in each room and in the kitchen and everywhere else, there were groups of people and they were blasting the music. And they were drinking. I think they were, partying. I'm not sure if they were doing smoking weed. I'm not sure, but it just looked like they were partying really late into the night, and I didn't know where to sit because I was not all about that lifestyle. And so it just kind of matched. And so upon reflecting and recording videos today, I recorded several. It dawned on me that this part matched. That she loves her family members, but she's not in the same type of lifestyle. of partying all the time, even though it could be just fun and games. Okay? And it could be because it reflects her more introvert. This person in the dream, she seems to be more introvert automatically. All right? But I mean, of course, she could be extrovert when she needs to. So people have both personalities, okay? And then let's continue in the dream. So I saw there was furniture in the house. It just looked very pristine, non-cluttery. And there was monochromatic colors. In this dream, there was gray monochromatic sleek decor. And she went to go look for her there was a counterfeit in the home. She went to go look for him, and he was in the large theater room all by himself watching the football game. And he had snacks, and he was cheering on the team. And she left that room, and she went back to the living room to go look for her other children. She also had just had a baby. Suddenly, the ordained spouse comes in through the door and is now amongst everyone. And he has entered the room where there are teen children there, and they're all playing board games or hanging out. And he brings some candy bars, chocolate candy bars, to share with them. And he was trying to bond with them and be kind. And he was very easygoing. So she looks over at the kitchen area where they're blasting the music. And then she looks at him. She's just like, that isn't my life anymore. That isn't my lifestyle anymore. Of course, she likes music. I'm not saying just because you blast music, now you're secular. I'm not saying that, okay? It was more so like the partying and, hard alcoholic beverages, or just continuous secular music, just partying, and like the lifestyle that comes with that. Okay, so which she was saying internally, and then she looked over at him and she said, that's not my lifestyle anymore. Or it probably hasn't been for a good while, is the vibe I got from her. Then I saw her, she went outside, and she was trying to find her older son, and he was on his skateboard. She saw green turf, and she just looks all around her grand land. It looked like a like it would take a golf cart to just walk the land, to just, be able to tour the entire property. It would probably, you need a golf cart. That's what it seemed. The land was vast. Okay, so it seemed like she got the vibe, and I got the vibe that her house was the it. It was like the it factor, okay? Like everybody loved coming to her house, and everybody felt comfortable coming over. I guess there was some financial stability, and so it was like a luxury home, and it was enormous home, like a mansion again, So like family members just enjoyed coming over, but the thing is that she noticed, and I also noticed, is that everyone was scattered in different parts of the home. It was also very noisy in the kitchen. So she went back inside, and she saw two children that looked to be like twins, a boy and a girl, and they were right at the glass coffee table. are standing right there, right next to the glass coffee table. She saw them and she went to sit with them, and they said, "Do you want to meet our baby sibling?" And the woman said, "Sure." And suddenly there was a baby in a bassinet, and it was sitting on the glass coffee table. This woman was very honored to be able to meet their new baby. This baby was swaddled in a mauve crocheted swaddle blanket. She saw the ordained spouse sitting on the couch with the two little children, and she wasn't sure if they were his children, but they just kind of appeared, okay? And he was very friendly and was trying to connect with them. This woman began to scroll on her phone or tablet and was speaking out loud. It must have been a tablet because the screen was a little bit larger than the phone. And she said she sold this large house that she lived in. So she probably moved out of that house, because she didn't want to continue having large gatherings of people at her house. She also stated that she opened a business. She saw a woman wearing black lace and a sign that said Glencoe with red and green colors on it. As she's scrolling, she's noticing that she is the woman that opened that business. And she is shocked that it's a thriving business. And she's like almost falling upon that information as she's revealing it to the ordained spouse. Okay? So it's almost like she has a web page of her life journey, and she's scrolling and scrolling, and he's viewing it, or she's viewing it, and she's explaining chapter by chapter what happened in her life. And one of them was a thriving business, and the other one was not living in that large house anymore. Okay, the second part is she didn't approve of this attire that she once wore in her past. Okay, then the other part was some negative time, her nervous system was dysregulated, and she was explaining how that's how she used to react in a poor manner when she would get stressed out and overwhelmed. And now she doesn't do that. She has evolved and matured and healed. And then she had some other scrolling where she explained the many times she has moved, the journey in the wilderness. Okay, then that was like a timeline of, the difficult times of sorrow and sadness, the loss, grief, and stuff like that. She didn't leave any bad parts out, is what I noticed. She said it all. And he sat there on the couch, and all he said was, "Okay." Then I see the woman, she looks behind, and it's only those two children and the baby in the bassinet, and him sitting at the coffee table, listening to her story in a nutshell of how she is in her present moment. And she noticed that, as she says out loud, that she doesn't have the large home anymore, and she doesn't have any clutter, and she's a little more secluded, like in the country, and she has peace and she has privacy. And she is accepting the journey that has brought her where she presently is now. a quiet room with family time, peace. And this is her wealth. Okay, so, and she has a thriving business, something like that. So, in the dream, she perceived like she didn't have much to show for her life, and except for excluding everything that wasn't her anymore, removing toxic and setting boundaries, having her privacy, and she was truly enjoying her life, at peace with herself. The counterfeit was in another room, playing video games with roommates. I don't think she was with that person. I think it just showed a room where what he was doing. And then I noticed that she just shared sections of her life that she wasn't proud of, because there was a lot of sorrow, there was loss, there was strife, but she is who she turned out to be. It brought her towards who she is now, and that she is proud of. Okay, so then I woke up. So the interpretation of that dream: the lace and fine fabrics, righteousness and holiness. While laces in the King James Version refers to a cord of binding rather than delicate fabric, Exodus 28:28. Intricate, fine woven fabric often symbolizes Yahuwah's glory and the righteous acts of believers' divine adornment. Fine, intricate linen was the material used for priestly garments to represent holiness, reverence, purity. White, clean linen often represents the righteous acts of saints, as seen in Revelation 19:8-3. Also, black typically means sin or darkness. Okay, dark times. Now, synthesized meaning: the overcoming of darkness. When evaluating a modern concept like black lace from a biblical perspective, the contrasting nature of dark materials and delicate weaving can represent the human condition and divine grace, just as a weaver can craft a delicate and beautiful pattern. Psalms 139:13. Yahuwah can take the dark, broken, or sorrowful seasons of life, the black, and weave them together with grace and redemption, the lace, to create a beautiful spiritual testimony. Romans 8:28. And Gallic, Glencoe, the word Glencoe, from Glencoe, meaning Glen of the River Coe. The famous red and green signs mark this stunning Scottish valley, generally point out nature reserves or display local information, often use green for safety, nature, and red for historical warnings, danger, to commemorate the region's famous and tragic history. Because Glencoe can refer to multiple things, the red and green signs you are seeing likely points to one of the following: National Natural Reserve, Scottish Highlands, the National Trust for Scottish Use, red and green branding on its visitor information and route markers, and the red represents the dramatic blood-stained history of the valley, the 1692 massacre of Glencoe, while the green represents the rich biodiversity, walking trails, and conservation efforts in the Glen, the Glencoe Golf Country Club. So, located in Calgary, Alberta, this prominent... Okay, so that's just talking about a club there. But this reads like a deeply reflective dream or a timeline of personal transformation. It describes a journey from chaotic, loud, and public life to a secluded, peaceful, and a clutter-free lifestyle where true wealth is defined by boundaries, family time, and inner peace. Your story highlights some core themes of emotional processing and evaluation, Here is a breakdown of where you shared. It's life is in retrospect. You look back at a chaotic timeline, acknowledging both the good and the bad parts, like yelling, screaming, and provocative attire. The shift to peace. You eventually transition from a large public and cluttered life to a quiet, secluded home. You realize that cutting out the noise and setting strict boundaries was the key to true happiness. Wealth isn't about traditional success or having much to show for it. Instead, it is defined by peace, privacy in a quiet room, quality family time, sharing this timeline with the ordained spouse and the children, even parts of your life you weren't proud of, shows a process of acceptance and healing. So, on that note, there's a show called Outlander on Netflix, and it's about regarding the Scottish Highlands, and regarding the 92 massacre of Glencoe. Okay, regarding the Jacobites. So there's some history there. If you guys want to look in on that, it has a lot to do with a beautiful love story of two people finding each other, and they're from different time frames. So it's a time travel show, and this is kind of cute because who's coming for you is someone that is younger than you. So it's like two different time frames, kind of matches. I feel like the Most High gave that cute tip to just tie it all together. I also noticed that it's talking about some chaotic timeline during the bloodshed. Scottish lost a battle during that time frame. There was a lot of loss and difficult times, and this woman was sharing a lot of her dark times. Okay, and then there was a redemption time, and they have turned it around. And she also has noticed that life has turned around, and so it seems like it related to one another. And there's some beauty, and there's some beauty coming out from ashes. So the Most High is bringing you from ashes to beauty, okay, in this hour, due to the volcanic landscapes in that area of Glencoe. So I feel like the Most High did a really great job to paint the picture of what's going on here. Now, the biblical meaning of having twins and a baby with a new spouse, ordained spouse, sitting at the coffee table. The baby was in a basket with a mauve-colored swaddle blanket. So, dreams about babies and twins often symbolize new beginnings, spiritual growth, and answered prayers, or a period of incubation where Yahuwah is nurturing a new assignment in your life. The presence of a new spouse, ordained spouse, and the specific colors, items, and layers of a personal and spiritual meaning breakdown. So here's a symbolism of babies. A baby can represent the birth of a new idea, a calling, a ministry, or a fresh start. It reflects innocence, potential, and the development of something beautiful that starts small and requires nurturing. Twins in the Bible often points to duality, meaning two things existing at the same time, such as two choices, two paths, or a balance between opposite needs. They can also represent double portion, double testimonies, or Yahuwah answering a prayer in multiple ways. A new spouse, ordained spouse. Marriage can represent a new covenant, partnership, or union. Sitting together at the coffee table suggests fellowship, peace, unity, and spending time in communion or conversation. The baby in a basket. This imagery closely mirrors the story of Moses in the basket, Exodus 2, symbolizing protection, faith, divine preservation, a set-apart destiny. So, many of you have a prophetic calling, and your life is quite a bit set apart from the world. And you kind of live in seclusion a lot of the time. you don't get to hang out with friends quite a bit. You have received downloads around the clock, and a lot of the time your hours of personal secret place time with the Most High is in the middle of the night. And so I'm not saying you can't have friends, but this is something that's been developed for some time, and that's what it takes, because you're always very strict. Okay, you got some high, you function in high frequency, you are highly discerning, and you are particular on who you allow in your inner circle. So the relationship with the Most High is very important to you, and you have realized that this is not a casual meetup with the Most High. This is your world. He is your world. But that's the other thing that's becoming developed and protected, is that the downloads that come from heaven. That could be one of the businesses that's and when I say business, I mean he's downloading business ideas to you, and then you're flourishing those out. But the prophetic word is in its own new career, if you could say that. So let's continue on what it says here. So it can mean it was protecting something precious in your life. Mauve swaddle blanket is a soft color blending purple, which represents royalty, divine authority, and spiritual depth. Red and pink represents the blood of Yahusha, love, and new birth. The swaddle blanket represents being cared for, comforted, and secured in Yahuwah's peace. The babies represent the untapped potential and growth of the new chapter. The spiritual peace, sitting comfortably at the coffee table with your ordained spouse, represents inner peace, joy, and healthy relationships. The baby in the basket, protected by a soft royal color, indicates that your emerging blessings or new ventures are held safely in Yahuwah's hands. Hallelujah. Shalom.